Yeah, let me just unmute myself. Hi, everyone. I think we are live. It is great to be back on smallcase YouTube channel nearly after a year. So looking forward to have a lot of good interaction next 45 minutes. I hope I am loud and clear. Also, I'll maybe open up the YouTube on my side screen so that I can also monitor the questions. There's also a Q&A form which is shared to all of you, I'm sure now, and you can of course fill in the questions there. For the ease of for the ease of all of you, I'll take the questions on the sheet first, so that people who have put in the sheet should get answered at the start, and then of course I can take questions on YouTube Live as well. Okay, so the topic for today, it is all about how do we survive the current market, the drawdowns we see in our portfolios. We are of course earning monthly cash flows in terms of our salaries, and therefore where we should think in deploying our capital, whether it is about averaging the current baskets, or do you want to also parallelly add a basket which can really help us ride the entire decadal bull run story, right? We are in. Of course, this decadal bull run story will have couple of years, the current months, where we will see a lot of consolidation, a lot of corrections. But the structural story in India is very intact. So we will talk about two sectors where we are very bullish on. We have started a lot of coverage in these two sectors, and the GoalFi Wealth Wave is designed to kind of capitalize on these two sectors for the next couple of 5, 6 years from now, right? That's the plan. So I'll get started. I hope you can see my screen. Let me just see here. Let me just turn my slide. Okay, so disclosures before we start. We are a SEBI registered RA firm, a corporate research analyst firm. The details of the company, our address, our registration number is mentioned over here. As required, of course, the disclaimer is that investment in securities market are subject to market risk. So please go through all the disclosures, disclaimers, and the discussions we will do will be educative in nature. There is no advice being given here. We are not an investment advisor, so we do not give personalized advisory. We are a research house, research analyst, right? So we kind of do a broad research. Also, you can read the full disclosures which are present on this URL as well. Okay, so we can, of course, the main agenda is to talk about the launch of our wealth waves and the sectors which we are dominantly very positive on. But we can, of course, talk about the time permits in terms of how we how we did in the last 1 year, how markets performed the last 1 year, if really needed to, because we launched last Dhanteras. So the date was 9 November. So we're just finishing 1 year, right? We just finished 1 year. So it's kind of more of also, kind of a milestone for us. And in that, we wanted to introduce our very first theme basket, which is purely quant-driven basket, utilize the entire science of modern portfolio theory. At the same time, it is catered to a specific sector or a set of sectors. Okay, so I think I can see that on YouTube also it is visible, which is very good. In case you see any questions coming, I'm just asking my team. Then of course I will be monitoring my Q&A sheet in case the questions are also added there. So where we are bullish on, why we are bullish on this sector, where do we see opportunities, where do we see somewhat growth, right? I've been doing a lot of press in terms of YouTube or in terms of some business channels. And the question asked this month was, what is the pick for next Diwali? Of course, 1 year is a very short-term period, and we talk about couple of years in terms of at least 5, 7 years when we talk about long term. But as a research house, as what we do, we are very bullish on capital markets and the entire asset management space, the entire wealth management space. Now, why we are? Because we are, as a country, we are a rising economic power, as you all know. We are very rapidly growing in terms of our GDP to become maybe the third largest, right? Global economy by next 7, 8 years. That's where we see a lot of potential in the company, in the sectors which will be a part of that overall growth. You all know that the current markets have fallen down to say 10%, and this is only possible in and that was only kind of 10% because of the lot of inflows you guys, you all come in every month and kind of give 25,000 crore of SIP, and that is what holding the market. If we do go slightly past, we know that this kind of outflows from foreign investors can lead a much bigger crack in the market, only because of the massive growth in the mutual fund industry, right? Which is growing now. If you look from the last 10 years, right? A CAGR of 20%, a CAGR of 20% of the last 10 years is the growth of this industry. And we are very bullish that the next decade also belongs to this, right? So I talked about SIP inflow as well. We, even in such market conditions, I think in September as well, we in October, September as well, we kind of recorded our highest. I mean, it's always increasing: 20,000, 24,000, 25,000 crore SIP. If you look at it, it is just a year ago. I think it was 18,000 crore, right? So 50% growth in that as well. Retail investors. Retail investors, also I will use a mix of Hindi and English so that थोड़ा सा relatability रहे. आई थिंक ऑडियंस हमारी हिंदी भी है, इंग्लिश भी है. मुझे बहुत कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रहता है जब मैं अपने यूट्यूब पे आता हूँ कि आप इंग्लिश में बोलिए एंड देन आई गेट दी नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कि नहीं नहीं हिंदी में बोलिए. सो व्हाट वी विल डू इज विल यूज इंग्लिश एज अ लैंग्वेज, जहाँ पे क्वेश्चंस अगर इंग्लिश हिंदी में आएंगे तो ऑफकोर्स आई आंसर इन प्योर हिंदी, और अगर आप इंग्लिश में पूछेंगे तो आई विल डू द सेम. ओवरऑल मैं कहना ये चाह रहा हूँ यहाँ पे कि जो रिटेल पार्टिसिपेशन है हमारी कंट्री में, इट इज़ डबलिंग राइट एवरी 4-5 ईयर्स. तो अगर वो 4 साल में डबल हो रहा है तो आप 18% की कैगर ग्रोथ देख रहे हो यहाँ पे, राइट? विच मीन्स द एंटायर entire space is growing in 2 digits. In such earnings period where we were seeing a lot of muted earnings, ये सेक्टर ऐसा था जहाँ पे डबल डिजिट ग्रोथ आई है, डबल डिजिट अर्निंग्स आई हैं. एंड देयरफॉर दिस इज नॉट जस्ट 1 year kind of our kind of view, but this is a space where we are very bullish on. Now also how these capital market companies, how these AMCs, how these depository participants, how these exchanges are getting benefit are also because our preference are changing, right? We are a young lot, much younger than if you just go 15 years ago. Our preferences are changing in terms of how we want to utilize tech in doing our investments, and therefore our preferences are evolving, which is also fueling the growth of this sector. Demat is a revolution. Before COVID, we were 4 crore Demat account. Maybe after COVID, we were 9 crore Demat accounts. We are now sitting at 17 crore Demat accounts. The massive growth in the Demat accounts participation from all of you is what leading the change of this sector. Most of our SIPs are equity led, which is more than 50%, and therefore that is where the equity markets are bound to kind of grow to the same rate, 2 digits rate at which they were growing. People are moving towards ETFs and derivatives and structured products from traditional real estate, and there's a lot of interest coming in financialization of savings, we call, in terms of new asset classes kind of being now into the focus. So that is where we see a lot of potential in this sector. And again, I think the same points around how the B30, right, the second tier of cities which were never in limelight, is making all the shift. Now, this courtesy goes to Angel One report. Very good slide. Very comprehensive in terms of how we see it all together. I hope this slide is also visible now. So we are a 1.4, 1.5 billion population, right? If you see the larger pie of the chart, which is the green part, this is 30 to 64 years. This is the group which is earning. This is the group which has capital to kind of put into markets, put into some asset classes, right? Which is a part of the derivative overall. And if you see this data of the fiscal year, that we are around 7 crore kind of PAN card holders, जिसमें हमारे डीमेट अकाउंट्स सिर्फ 12% हैं टोटल पॉपुलेशन के, विच इज अराउंड 17 करोड़, राइट? इफ यू सी इंडिया में NSE एक्सचेंज में जो एक्टिव क्लाइंट्स हैं, दैट नंबर गोज अराउंड 4 करोड़, 4.8 राइट करोड़, 48 million, एंड दैट इज जस्ट 3% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन. सो जो पेनिट्रेशन की बात हो रही है, इफ यू लुक एट द स्लाइड ऑन द ऑन द लेफ्ट क्वाड्रेंट, 2012 से 2024 की जर्नी, 10 साल 12 साल की जर्नी में, फ्रॉम 1% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन पेनिट्रेशन टू नाउ जस्ट 12%. सो अभी भी कितना अंडर पेनिट्रेटेड है हमारा ओवरऑल इकोसिस्टम. एंड जो इंटरेस्टिंग राइट में जो स्लाइड में फैक्ट्स हैं, how the rest of India is growing exponentially. If you see just 5 years, 19 to 24 की आप journey देखें, it was a 47% of rest of India, which is growing every year, and now 51% of the rising share of investors are coming now in tier 2 cities. That is why you see the new demat account, the new broking accounts, all of these AMCs, all of these brokers are very, very high focusing on the rest of India and not just the top five states. Some more numbers to throw. Of course, we'll quickly come to our strategy, but just kind of give you more context that overall, अगर आप developed countries देखेंगे, so करीब 60-70% का average है percent of GDP जो total mutual fund का AUM है, हमारा तो सिर्फ 18% है. और वही अगर आप नीचे का ग्राफ देखते हो तो वो 18% भी अभी हुआ है. That was just 10% of the GDP just 10 years ago. Now it has of course come to 18%, which you see on the slide here. But if you look at other developing and developed economies, this is much higher. And even if you just look at an average world, it is also 65%. So you see the kind of potential this sector holds for the next 10 years. Of course, we know that we are just 3.2 of population, which is also very, very good to see the growth in the last 5 years. We have just doubled from 1.5 to 3.2. The sources of this data is of course mentioned in the slide, and in case I have missed it, I will update the slides to mention the right sources, right? Also, यहाँ पे हम देख रहे हैं, we talk about, we celebrate 25,000 crore SIP every month. We celebrate that across months, and that is what you see. Just like 10 years ago, it was hardly what you see 5,000, right? Which is 5 times. It has become 5 times in 5 years in terms of the SIP flow. So that is what our first sector in focus. And I'll move on to the next sector in focus, which is, I'll take a pause. Maybe if we have questions, I'll take a pause and see if sheets are getting updated. I don't think sheets are getting updated, but I see a lot of things. You can ping me this link. I can check live. I see some questions on the sheet, but I don't think they are related to this. But if you can ping me, I can check that as well. Okay. आई कैन पॉज इन केस रुकते हैं. आई थिंक काफ़ी लोग क्वेश्चंस पूछ रहे हैं. वहाँ पे मुझे दिख रहा है लाइव में, बट मुझे अपनी शीट में नहीं दिख रहा. तो कैन वी ऐड क्वेश्चंस टू माय शीट प्लीज? वरुण, आप इस शीट पे ऐड कर दीजिए. And okay, so since I don't have a question to take for now, it's very difficult for me to read from that screen. I'll check in the mean. अभी हम move करते हैं to our next sector in focus, which is of course NBFC space and the entire MSME, the entire SME lending space. Now, along with the capital markets, wealth management, fintech space we talked about, we also will talk about NBFC and SME. Now, क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? यहाँ पे there is a lot of inclusive credit growth which is happening. Now, affordable housing, Pran Mantri Awas Yojana, all of that is kind of creating a surge of that demand, which in turn is helping all of the well-run institutions, right? बैंक का अपना एक रोल है क्रेडिट ग्रोथ में, एनबीएफसीज का अपना एक रोल है. यहाँ पे आप देखोगे तो को लैंडिंग होती है बिटवीन बैंक्स एंड एनबीएफसीज, विच काइंड ऑफ इज स्टिल not sufficient to cater to the large MSME segment, which is untapped still, which is underserved still, right? And therefore, the entire digital tech revolution which has happened, which is on scorecard-based lending, on credit underwriting. So, जो एक traditional सिस्टम में एक जजमेंट बेस्ड लैंडिंग होती थी, आफ्टर गोइंग थ्रू लॉट ऑफ अप्रूवल प्रोसेस एंड देन यू असेस एंड देन यू डू क्रेडिट अप्रूवल. नाउ द क्रेडिट अप्रूवल हैज बिकम लॉट ऑफ टेक ड्रिवन, लॉट ऑफ you take insights from your phone bill, you take insight from your credit card payments, you take insight from your GST filings, and then on the fly decide how much credit can be given. And if you look at this center part, backbone of the economy, right? MSMEs account for 30% of the GDP, right? Such a big number. And the entire, if you look in the workforce perspective, 40% of the workforce is employed by them. And therefore, this is the place to be, right? This is the place to be. Companies supporting the growth of MSMEs, providing them the required credit, and they are well-run institutions, right? They are well-run institutions in terms of they make sure that their credit default and their net interest margins and are quite intact. We have to really find opportunities there, and there are very well-run companies in India which are in this space. And if you look at their Q2 results also, you will find that these are these were well-run businesses, and they are well-run businesses, and there's no quarter where they are showing degrowth. So that's all the whole point was, and I'll talk about some numbers. I'll share some more numbers to you. जैसे हम वहाँ देख रहे थे कि we are growing at a 2 digit. Here also we are growing at 13 to 15% CAGR in terms of, and if you look at, even this is a press release from RBI just for this year. I mean, on this year only, so not very old data. And if you look at even in the banks, the retail credit is growing at that 13, 14, 15% growth, expected also to be grow at the same rate. And also, if you look at NBFC retail credit, it is also growing at the same rate, right? 13 to 15%, जो कि पहले 11-16% होता था. So we are kind of increasing that 2-digit growth also there. And overall NBFC credit cycle में, if you look at the retail credit, which is more than 50% and growing every year and even estimated to grow further. Retail credit का मतलब होता है हाउसिंग फाइनेंस, गोल्ड लोन्स, यहाँ पे लिखा भी है अगर आप देखोगे, MSME लोन्स, वेयर वी आर वेरी वेरी काइंड ऑफ बुलिश ऑन. यहाँ पे खाली डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दिखा रहे हैं हम कि ओवरऑल हाउसिंग, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऑटो, गोल्ड में क्या काइंड ऑफ स्प्लिट रहा है पिछले 10 सालों में in terms of where is the kind of opportunity. And if you see, if you even look at the estimates, I think this is a data released by press release of RBI of Jan 24. So we will expect Jan 25, right? Another 2 months to get new data updated to the next year. And you see, just to estimate that we are kind of there, and there is a 27% kind of distribution which is in housing finance, and I think we as a research house is very bullish on NBFC and housing finance companies which are well run institutions. यहाँ पे ये बता रहे हैं कि ऑटो लोन्स, हाउसिंग लोन्स, गोल्ड लोन्स किस तरीके से over different years have been kind of taking the market share. So that's two sectors we are very positive on. Now coming to the crux of the this session. Again, I'll take a pause. This is not the link? This is not the link? Okay, so maybe the link was changed. They linked the change. Okay, so I think you have a new link now for okay. Okay, so there are questions. Maybe I'll take the questions first, so that, or maybe I'll take a few questions first, and then I'll continue. So please guide on how small cases, but I'll read all the questions so that there is no filtering done from my side. If the question is relevant to a broad audience, I will of course answer. Otherwise, you can always drop me an email, or I'll kind of respond over email. Please guide on how small case is better than mutual funds. From Harsh, in last 1 year, you launched 9 small cases. Is a good strategy? Is it right strategy? Okay, I'll answer that. This small cases focus on wealth theme. If there's a scenario that wealth theme has a downtrend where other themes are performing, how will this impact the returns? Okay, Dave. Hi, sir. What is the difference between multi-factor wealth maximizer? I think that's a different question, but I can answer if the time permits. Hardly any distinction between themes. Not enough focus. I think given there. Okay, and Dr. Akash Raj is not happy. Is there any reason not to add any NBFC or pure affordable housing finance in November cohort? Okay. Right. So we'll answer them as per the context of the presentation. So let me now introduce GoalFi Wealth Wave. It is right now distributed across capital markets, housing finance, depository and clearing corporations, NBFCs, stockbroking and allied companies, and asset management companies. And if you see the breakup right now, the basket is made up of around 12 companies spread across these 6 sectors. Currently positioned where the 55% is mid cap and 45% is small cap. The whole idea of this theme is inspired by the India's growth wealth story, which I just kind of tried to explain in the last 10 minutes. Okay, and I'll move next. Okay, the lot of data here, and this talks about, which I already covered on the right. I'll of course talk about our investment methodology, which is maybe more technical in nature. But आप लोगों के एक overall understanding के लिए, we are kind of banking on India's financial growth story. कि what we are kind of in which context we are working. How the wealth creation, mutual fund AUM, SIP growth, demat accounts growth is increasing, and how capital markets, asset management, wealth management, NBFCs, and home finance are the sectors where we see strong balance sheets and well-run institutions and at right valuation. And why we need to look at it now when markets are sitting at a sweet spot in terms of valuations. We are seeing a paradigm shift in this entire ecosystem because of a lot of formalization happening in the industry, a lot of digitization happening in credit industry, a lot of digitization happening in the user experience, and therefore this is the time where you kind of ride this entire wave of decadal bull run we call, right? So very good time to kind of capitalize on this. Time is right because of course we wanted to have our very first theme basket, which is in internally con driven basket, because we use value and momentum as factors. And if you look at what we do, we are looking into NSE franchise services. So we are operating. The way I'm answering this question is somebody asked, how will we kind of cover the downtrend in case wealth theme has a issue going down the line. So this is entire franchise services sector, right? So we are covering nearly 300 companies here, right, in our kind of universe. The selection done is currently focusing on, of course, as I mentioned in that pie chart, asset management, capital markets, depository participants, NBFCs. But if you look at the financial service sector, it is beyond that. It is also, banks when needed. So we are looking into NSE financial services index, which is around 250, 300 companies. Then for now, focus is here. And we, of course, make sure that the small cases or the baskets you have do not have the issue of liquidity or order failure. And therefore, make sure that we check liquidity as one of the parameter. We check evaluation as one of our prime parameter. And make sure that to avoid illiquid stocks or any very high volatility to kind of protect the downside, right? That's what our fundamental filters are. Then, of course, a lot goes inside it, right? We have a lot of, I have done a lot of discussion on multi-factor models in past on this channel, as well as in my videos, where we talk about what do we achieve, what we try to achieve by adding a layer of factors, by making sure that we find some optimal point where जो रिस्क है और उसके बदले जो रिवॉर्ड है वो कहीं ना कहीं एक स्वीट स्पॉट पे हो, राइट? दैट इज व्हाट द मॉडर्न पोर्टफोलियो थ्योरी एंड ऑल दैट हेल्प अस काइंड ऑफ आइडेंटिफाई. एंड वेट एलोकेशन भी हम उसी बेसिस पे करते हैं कि यू सी 12 कंपनीज, देयर इज अ लॉजिक बिहाइंड विच कंपनी कैरी विच वेट. इट्स नॉट रैंडम कि कुछ कंपनी का 5 लिखा है, कहीं का 3 है, किसी का 20 है. देयर इज अ लॉजिक एंड द रीबैलेंस, बिकॉज दिस इज अ नीड बेसिस रीबैलेंस, reviewed maybe say once a month or once a quarter. A lot of time it will be weighted change because we would like to rebalance the basket basis, how fast something has moved, or do we need to put some more capital to the same kind of composition. So a lot of that is driven by a lot of our science, and that is what we do. Before I go to questions, I'll just take the last slide, which is slightly technical, but you can ignore it. You need not see that. I'm just trying to say that what goes behind what my team works day in, day out. All the dots you see on this slide are actual portfolios, right? Are actual portfolios. The whole objective of us, right, in doing some professional money management is to find a sweet spot for you. Now, of course, there are in 100 years of investment management, there are hundreds of theories. Some works in different kind of markets. This is a kind of a way to demonstrate that, and of course you can Google this out, and I'm sure थोड़ा complicated लगेगा आपको. But the whole idea is ये सारे dots portfolio हैं, एक जगह पर risk है, एक जगह पर returns हैं. कितना risk लेके आपको कितना return बनता है, and then what could be the efficient kind of a place where you take the right level of risk to get some kind of alpha, right? So we decide basis the strategy, and this is what the team does internally, right, in the background. That is what all about the sectors we are bullish on, and the launch of our new small case. Also, I think because I can't read, I think the link is also given by the. I have the link also of this, right, of the YouTube. I'll also open, and then I'll answer. Okay, so please try to explain or answer what is the investment philosophy or thought behind this small case and major difference among other and wealth wave. Which type of user should switch to this small case? So investment philosophy is very clear, right? This is to capitalize on the growing capital markets in the country, right? This is to capitalize on the India growth story, of of increasing penetration in terms of capital markets, and that is what we have been saying. It is to ride along the growth of the MSME segment in India. So this is the thought. Since we run our quant portfolios, we have used value, momentum, and volatility as kind of factors here. Difference दूसरे में और इसमें ये है कि this is running on a 250-300 kind of universe, which is financial services universe, right? Which include NBFCs, banks, wealth management, capital markets, exchanges, depository participants. Other हमारे overall market में, right? Alpha Momentum Fusion is on Nifty 500 as a universe. Other baskets are on Nifty 750 as a universe. So the universe is different. And so that's a difference between this and other. And what type of user? I think this is applicable to all of the users who even are a part of some factor-based basket of ours, because this gives you that layer of theme, right? A sector, which is here to kind of grow at a certain 2-digit growth rate. And क्योंकि लॉन्ग टर्म पोर्टफोलियो है, एक डिकेडल बुल रन के लिए हमने प्लान किया है, रीबैलेंसेस भी यहाँ पे मिनिमम आएंगी. And this is how you can kind of course, you have a basket which is a weekly review basket or a monthly review basket. This basket will give you that kind of opportunity to ride this slow and steady. Okay. Is there any reason not to add? Okay, so there was a question that we had a recent November cohort launch. Is there any reason not to add any NBFC or pure affordable housing finance? So Rohit, depends on, that's a 4-factor strategy, right? So it could depend on the strategy, and anything which is a part of. So as a research house, I think our coverage is nearly around 70 companies in total out of Nifty 1,000 companies. If you take right across our baskets, we are right now placed in 70 companies. So depending on the factor, depending on, I mean, also can stop sharing, right? And depending on the factors, we kind of decide where what goes. And I'll also go open YouTube directly so that I can see some live commentary. Where's the YouTube link? Here is a YouTube link. Okay. Right. And just a second. I'll then take the next question. The factor. Right. Okay. Or you're kind of putting the questions there. These questions, Mukul Dikshit. So I just want to say hello. That's why I came here. Dr. Akash Raj is not happy for some reason. Dr. Akash Raj, you can book a meeting with me. I can give you my personal email and we can, of course, answer. Kaushik is asking, please, Robin, dear, ask your team to send Zoom link. No, it's not Zoom, Kaushik. It is here, right? Zoom is only, I have joined on the Zoom. Since it's not a Zoom meeting, it's a YouTube live. And okay, how small is better than mutual fund? So to answer that question, I think this has been a topic of discussion from much long, right? And I think I've been telling about that these are not opposite products, these are complementary products to each other, right? Mutual funds are very well crafted when you define a particular, say, goal, and it's a time-bound goal. So you exactly know that when to shift from equity to debt to liquid, right? In terms of how the goal comes near to you, 5-year goal, 7-year goal, how do you shift systematic withdrawal you do? And versus small case any basket, which is to do with a wealth generation kind of goal, right? Where you are here for long term and focus on the wealth generation is kind of, I separate them and they are complementary to each other, right? They are not really comparison to be made. This is Mukesh is saying, okay, captions enable कर दीजिए, हम हिंदी में सुन पाएंगे हर्ष. Okay. Can your team help? Cannot use UPI for a small case if the amount is more than 15,000. अच्छा वो आप चेक कर लीजिएगा, बट ये फीस तो इसकी आई थिंक इज वेरी लिमिटेड, सो यू कैन ऑफ कोर्स चेक. वहाँ आई थिंक वो इशू आएगा नहीं आपको. और जीवनंदन हेलो, डिफरेंस पूछा है कोहर्ट में, वो मैं अपने जूम में आपको बता पाऊंगा, बिकॉज दिस इज अबाउट दिस स्मॉल केस. एंड कुछ ऑफर वगैरह भी आई एम श्योर होगा. सब्सक्रिप्शन फी और के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं अंकित. और आई थिंक some offer and subscription fee, if you can maybe place on the chat. I think that's how it will be easy for the people to know the link and the offer code. I'm sure for existing subscribers, it will be much higher than for new subscribers. But of course, for new subscribers also there will be a reward. I'm sure. So, but यहाँ पे मुझे वो लिंक दिख नहीं रही है, कूपन कोड भी नहीं दिख रहा है. तो if the team can add Okay, so the team has added, right? For existing GoalFi subscribers, there's a Wealth 40 mention over there. And for new subscribers, I'm sure there's a Wealth 20 mention over there, which is very good. Okay. Mukul is saying invested in consumption and manufacturing, thematic small case, while in mutual fund, I've invested across cap, large, mid, small. Should I switch to this thematic plan? मुकुल ऐसा नहीं होता कि आपको स्विच करने की नीड होती है इज व्हाट आई से राइट देयर इज नो नीड फॉर स्विचिंग थिंग्स इट इज ऑलवेज दैट you need to diversify your baskets. You need to see that okay, I am now invested in this basket, this is my overall asset allocation. In this asset allocation, this is the proportion I have in this kind of sectors. This sector is more of financial services, right? So it is not just about wealth management, it is about financial services, right? So the entire banking industry, the entire NBFC space, the entire AMC space will be covered down the line in this basket. अंकित जी बोल रहे हैं न्यू लोगों को भी सेम बेनिफिट मिलना चाहिए। नहीं, मेरे साथ जो एक साल से हैं सब जुड़े हुए हैं उनको एब्सोल्युटली थोड़ा एडिशनल बेनिफिट मिलता है अंकित, बट आई एम श्योर इट इज़ फेयर, राइट? तो आई थिंक प्रशांत का आंसर मैंने कर दिया। आई क्विकली सी द शीट अगेन। ठीक है कि मुकुल का आंसर साहिल का है कि व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन इंडियन इकोनॉमी स्लोइंग डाउन बिकॉज मैनी सीईओज कंफर्म्ड and lot of stocks, crores of stocks, vehicles are pending to sell. People lost middle class status. साहिल थोड़ा सा ब्रॉड कुछ क्वेश्चन मुझे यहाँ पे चैट पे भी आए हैं। या सो देखिए ओवरऑल ओवरऑल आपको ना थोड़े ब्रॉड यू हैव टू कीप अ वेरी ब्रॉड व्यू जस्ट दैट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग आई थिंक बिकॉज ऑफ Q2 रिजल्ट देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ नेगेटिविटी व्हिच हैज काइंड ऑफ in the markets in terms of how people were kind of if you see the news which are coming out कि सब मिला के 100 कंपनीज का 20,000 करोड़ का लॉस हुआ है। I think you have to look at the bright side. You have to look at how we have come to this stage now, right? We have seen tremendous growth. If you look at the last 1 year returns of the basket, I can pull up the slide, right? And if the time permits, I can let me know if I have time. I can pull up a slide to show how the sectors behaved in the last 1 year, right? That kind of numbers are anyways not sustainable. And therefore the kind of correction you see here is all positive correction, correct? And just looking at a Q2 result, just looking at how it's all cyclical in nature. There's no structural damage in a country like India. There's no structural damage at all, which means and I just showed you that slide, right, where you see the kind of unique proposition we are sitting in terms of our demographics, in terms of our age graph, in terms of where we are positioned, how young we are as a country. And therefore India will continue to remain the fastest growing world fastest growing major economy over the next years, right? एंड कोई कहीं हमारा जो जो भी 7-8% का जीडीपी ग्रोथ है वो कंटिन्यू रहेगा। साइक्लिकल डाउन टर्न्स तो आते रहेंगे। और क्या क्वेश्चन था? किसी स्मॉल केस की बात हो रही है, कितना डाउन है? परसेंटेज हम यूजली लेते नहीं है पब्लिक फोरम में, बट किसी ने लिखा है कि मान लीजिए लिखा है एक नंबर, तो नंबर अगर आप देखोगे वो नंबर फ्रॉम माई परस्पेक्टिव यशस्वी इज नॉट अ नंबर रियली वरी अबाउट because that's a very very small number in a context of what I think it's important that I take 2 more minutes to kind of show you that slide which will give you additional context on how we performed last year. I hope I have the liberty to take 5 more minutes and quickly show you that slide which the team kind of put together. Just let me give a minute and I'll quickly show you that how well we have grown right over the last 1 year. So let me just show, and if I can share my screen again. I'm taking questions as they come in the sheet. Please ask more and more questions. Somebody is unhappy about the customer support. I think डॉक्टर साहब हैं एक उन्होंने लिखा है, डॉक्टर आकाश राज। आई थिंक इनसे पहले भी बात हुई है, बट अगर नहीं हुई है तो प्लीज़ यू कैन ऑलवेज बुक अ मीटिंग विद मी एंड आई एम कोर्स वी आर हियर टू solve any of your queries. So I'm trying to see if I can pull up the slide and I'll take just 5 more minutes, guys. भाई मैं वो स्लाइड दिखाता हूँ सो दैट एटलीस्ट टीम ने इतने एफर्ट किए तो वो भी मैं आपको स्लाइड दिखा पाऊँ। देखिए अब आप ये देखिए, ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट माय बास्केट एंड देयरफॉर आई एम श्योर आई कैन शो द परसेंटेज हियर बिकॉज दिस इज ब्रॉड बास्केट, राइट? एंड यू सी लास्ट 1 ईयर, राइट? नवंबर से नवंबर का अगर हम डिस्कशन करें, हम लोग जब लॉन्च हुए लास्ट 1 ईयर, you see the kind of growth PSUs, right? CPSE, you kind of see Alpha 50 has done, the kind of growth Nifty 50 has done. small cap has done. What I can only say is, of course, I can't show you my percentage here, but good to know, good to see that all of the baskets, right, all the nine, the question was, is it the right approach? All the 8 baskets have outperformed. At least the 6 baskets which were launched at the same time were outperformed all of the indices combined, right? You will not find any basket which has not performed, which is a good sign, right? Which is a good sign that there is an effort being put to give you the best research. And in such markets where broad markets are growing at this rate, we beating that is a good kind of feeling to have, and that is where you rewarded us with your trust over the last 1 year. And also, if I show you the last slide, which was a question, this is the kind of drawdown, right? This is the kind of drawdown the last from the peak, right? And Nifty has just gone down 10%. I think is it a real correction, real drawdown? No, it is not. Uh, it is at all. Of course, oil and gas has gone down above 20, which is also all right when the broad market is falling 10. But if you see the same thing on the above slide, how much you have grown? If you have grown 50 and you have fallen down 10, it is kind of, it is something which you should embrace and think from perspective of join the journey of growth of decadal bull run, which is start of 2020 to the end of 2030, right? I mean, if you take that 10 years also, in those 10 years, you will have 1, 2 years where you will see all of that. Somebody has a question, Karan, that I joined GoalFi and my losses are this percentage. I think I answered the question. What should I do? Remain invested. Your money is in fundamental good companies. Markets overall have some weakness. Once the market will start to show some strength and make some base, you need some good months in the years, some good quarters, some 6 months in the years to kind of generate that kind of alpha for you. I think I answered all of the questions from Mukul, Karan, Sahil, Prashanta, Rohit, Yashasvi, Jivanandan. I think I've answered, right, guys? A few questions which are specific to difference in our small cases. You can always write to smallcase@goalfi.app, and that will give you access to my email inbox. And of course, I'll take all the questions and reply. I think, let me just see again, YouTube. I think we are 40 minutes into the session. I hope you can utilize the offer. And सो हेमंत जी कुछ बोल रहे हैं, एंड कौशिक ने सब्सक्राइब भी कर लिया है ठीक है। अतुल जी, आपका डिस्काउंट जो पहले से इन्वेस्ट है उनको कैसे मिलेगा? बस आपको अपना ईमेल यूज़ करना है, और आपका ईमेल पे ऑटोमेटिकली वो कोड वैलिड होगा. You will automatically see that this code only works for you if you already have a valid GoalFi small case in the past. Yes, Saddam, there is a way to connect with me. You can always personal consult तो नहीं कर पाऊंगा, but I can connect you to SEBI RIAs, right? I know a lot of good SEBI RIAs who can of course help you. Don't book losses, as usually I say. Remain invested. You are here for long term is the message. Stay invested is the message. Capitalize on the India's growth story, and I think a theme basket like this can really help you kind of add a layer of diversification, a right diversification, the right time in your overall universe. Okay, guys, and I hope it was useful, and thanks for joining. 100 and plus of you were there, and it was good to interact. Thank you, and I'll maybe stop now. Stop the recording and come out of the session. Thank you, guys.